all of them.
Talk about the mindset this week, man. Being up, 15 pounds, not having to worry about that extra weight.
Yeah, I mean, it definitely helps add to it. I'm in a little bit better mood. You can probably tell, like, right out the gate. You go back and you look at some of the old ones. I'm about the same weight, but I know I got that big cut ahead of me, which is really unnecessary. I feel like the UFC is slowly taking the steps in the right direction on getting rid of this weight cut. And this sport is dangerous enough as it is. It doesn't make any sense that we got to dehydrate ourselves and put our health at risk and not give the fans and the folks the fight that they should get. I feel like that's what I'm going to give to them this week by not having to fight the scale before getting in there and having to fight somebody like Dos Anjos. And it's only going to be a benefit.
So you feel like you're about the same weight right now on Wednesday of fight week that you would be when you were cut to 155?
Yeah, I mean, plus or minus 1 or 2 pounds. But when you look at plus 15 pounds that I would have had to cut, you'll really be able to see the difference come fight night, I think.
Were you happier all throughout training camp knowing that you weren't going to have to deal with this? You could, maybe stay a little bit heavier?
Yeah, I mean, I was mostly happy that I get to focus 100% on Dos Anjos. He's the first former world champion that I'm going up against. So he got my full undivided attention, and I gave him that respect too. Going against somebody like him, you got to be dialed in at all times. It did help not having to think about, oh, am I going to make it? Or, I have to take these extra steps in order to kill myself to make it. That definitely helps, and I think it's going to shine through.
It's too early to say that you're staying here? You're staying at 170 for good? Or do you have to see how it goes on Saturday?
There's a lot of good options at 170. There's a lot of good fights to be had after this one. You got Askren, you got Kobe, you got Kamaru Usman, who I'm really chasing for. So all of them right there. And then when you add in guys like Pettis, Nate Diaz, Jorge Masvidal, it's a lot of talent up here, and it's a lot to entice me to get to stay. And especially with the way things have been going this week, I'm kind of liking it.
You mentioned that UFC is new to Rochester when you spoke to the fans out there. With that said, how much of an opportunity does that give for you to make the first impression really on a big scale? Yeah, I mean, I think it's going to be big for us. Just to spread MMA to a broader community. At least in my eyes, I look at it from the place where I'm from, Detroit, and I always carry that on my back. And I want to just show a different avenue of. If I'm being perfectly honest, the black community hasn't yet got into MMA yet. They don't really understand it yet. So for me to go out and showcase what I do, there might be a kid who's looking up to what he wants to do in the future. So the more places that we get to go and we get to see and see these places like Rochester, this is the perfect fight for me to go out and showcase my skills. And I think it'll open a lot of people's eyes.
Kevin, it took 20 years for MMA to get legalized in New York. It's a long fight. What does it mean just in the big picture to finally get a state as big as New York, as prominent a boxing state as New York was? Now it's all under it's legal everywhere now. Is it for all the athletes? Was that a big thing? Big news?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it goes with the evolution of the sport. This is one of the most brutal sports in the world, and it's one of the most beautiful at the same time. It's got more variables than boxing. I think fans around the world consider it to be a lot more exciting than boxing. You really never know what's going to happen, and it symbolizes a true fight. For young kids or whoever is interested in the sports and interested in martial arts and what does it take to take another man out, I think every man especially, we all kind of have those questions about ourselves. And mixed martial arts with a more wide range of what you can do, it really helps signify what's a real fight like. So I think people all around the world love it. And New York, y'all just not getting on board. It's a little old school out here. I've been out here for a couple of days now, and we need to pump some new money into the economy. So I'm happy to help.
Talk a little bit about what RDA brings to the table. I mean, obviously you mentioned he's a former champ, and he looked great when he came up to 170, and maybe he's slowed down a little bit his last couple of fights. So talk a little bit about what challenges he presents for you.
He's a former world champion, and you really can't take that away from him. He's going to be that until the day that he dies. And just to have that accolade next to him, it just shows what kind of heart he got even to get to the top. And I know, even though he you say he might have slipped up his last couple fights, a guy like him is just going to use that as experience to go out there. And I know he's like a caged animal. When you got the lion backed up, that's when he's most dangerous. So I'm expecting a very, very dangerous Dos Anjos. He's very, very aggressive. He's going to come for it. He's going to get in my face. But that's the type of fight that I want. I haven't yet gave the UFC and the people who have watched me grow up in this sport, I haven't gave them that real barn burner of a fight where I'm bloodied and the guy's bloody and, it's just like a really drag 'em out fight. And I think Dos Anjos might get that to me. So every day I get a little bit more excited about that. So I'm expecting a hell of a fight.